What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you guys don't know me, my name is Monica and I'm the owner of a small boutique called Victoria's Vanity located in South Sacramento. So if you guys are new to my channel, thank you so much for being here. If you guys are returning, thank you so much for coming back. Today's video is going to be a very personal video. It's going to be, can you not scrape your bowl? Sorry, that's my husband, he's eating cereal. Today's video is going to be very personal. It's going to be a video that means a whole lot to me. I'm gonna cry, don't cry, why am I crying? As some of you guys may know, we are in the month of March, obviously, and March is for Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. So if you guys are interested, please keep watching. If not, then get the fuck off my channel. So as you guys know from the title, it's pretty much my struggle with living with multiple sclerosis. So a lot of people have never really heard about multiple sclerosis. I know when I was diagnosed, I did not know what the hell multiple sclerosis was, MS. I've never even heard of it. When the neurologist first told me, I thought he said scoliosis. I was like, what? So a little bit of background on MS. It is an autoimmune disease. There is no cure for it. It is a progressive disease, and pretty much it attacks your central nervous system, which consists of your brain, your brainstem, and your spine. What happens is that people who have overactive immune systems, their body kind of turns on them and starts attacking the myelin sheath. So what that is think of like an extension cord, right? Like an orange one. Pretty much my immune system, or anybody who has MS, their immune system attacks the orange part of the electric cord, which is your like your nerves and your signals that are attached to your brain, your spinal cord, your CNS. And what happens is your immune system tries to eat away at it, and once it breaks through that part, it hits a nerve, that's when permanent damage is done. So for me, when I was first diagnosed, I had about, I think 6 lesions on my brain. Fast forward to today, I now have about 46 on my brain, 4 on my brainstem and 6 on my spine. So I've been diagnosed, I was diagnosed back in 2011. Yes, I've had MS for, at least that I've known, for about 8 years. My neurologist at the time believes that I probably had it 3 years before that because of the damage and where the damage is. I was diagnosed was kind of how I found out about it. I remember I woke up one day, I was driving to work, and I had this like really bad pain behind my right eye. It was like so painful, and I was like, what the heck? And I thought, maybe just a headache. Okay, fast forward the day, it doesn't go away. If anything, it got worse. So I'm driving home, and I remember I started seeing double, like everything. I started seeing 2 of everything, and I was like, what the hell? Came home, and I took a shower, and in the shower, I was shaving my underarms, and I remember like looking, like trying to see where I was shaving, and it was so painful. It was just this throbbing pain behind my eye. Okay, so I'm like, what the hell? This is so weird, and something's not right. Woke up the next day, same thing, same pain, still seeing double. So I go into work, and I was talking to my boss about it, and she's like, I think you need to go see an eye doctor, because could be. Called my eye doctor, and went in, they ran a whole bunch of tests. My vision was perfect, 20/20 vision, everything was fine. And then he was like, I'm gonna refer you to a neurologist, because I want to get a MRI of your brain. And I was like, what the heck? I was like, why? He said, well, behind your eye, there's some inflammation on your optic nerve. And I was like, okay, well, what is that? Like, I've always been perfect health. Like, I was always healthy. Growing up as a kid, I had some asthma issues, but that was it. There's nothing ever wrong with me. So when he started telling me, I was like, what? Well, like, what? How? What could it be? And he's like, well, a number of things. It could be leukemia, it could be a tumor, it could be, okay. But deep down inside, I was like, there's nothing gonna be wrong. Like, this is probably, I don't know, just like a little, I don't know. I didn't really think too much of it, because like I said, I've always been a very healthy person. So I go in for my MRI. wait some time, waited for my results, and I have never had an MRI. I am claustrophobic, and that was kind of freaky because, you know, if you've never had an MRI, it's like this little tunnel thing they just put you in. They had to put a head brace over my face, so I couldn't move my head, and I was like, what the hell? I was kind of freaking out. So fast forward a couple days later, a neurologist calls me. I'm like, oh, what the hell? That's not good, because it's not my eye doctor calling, it's a neurologist. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't know anything, I don't know medical terms, but I do know neuro means brain. So my husband, at the time, boyfriend, comes with me. You know, I tell my parents, they want me to go down. At first, my dad used to be an interpreter for UC Davis Medical Center. And so he's kind of familiar with, you know, medical terms and everything. And I can kind of, thinking back to it now, I remember his face, and he got like this scared look on his face. And I was like, I didn't think much of it, remind you. I didn't think I was anything wrong. I was always healthy. So thinking back now, it kind of makes sense. And he was like, oh, don't worry, Mija, it's going to be okay. You know, my mom's like, oh, you know, probably nothing. It's going to be fine. So we go to the neurologist's office. He's like, okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever had numbness or tingling in one part of your body? And I'm thinking back, I'm like, yes. Because I remember when I used to work at Forever 21, I would have to go back, and I would hang the hangers, like the clothes on my arm, and I would put them back, and I remember my arm would go numb, but I would think, oh, the hanger probably hit a nerve, or, you know, something. Never thought anything serious. Okay, my neurologist was like, okay, have you ever had vertigo? And I was like, yeah, actually I have. Like, when you're drunk and you're like wasted and everything starts spinning, it's like that feeling. And I'm like, wait, I was like, how do you know all this? And he's like, well, I know all this because of your scans. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And so he turns off the light, and he's like, unfortunately, he's like, it looks like you have multiple sclerosis. And I was like, what? I was like, scoliosis? I was like, there's nothing wrong with my back. He's like, no, multiple sclerosis. So he pulls up my scans, and on my scans, you see these spots, these little white spots on my brain. And he's like, see these spots? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, those are lesions. And I'm like, what? Like, what? My mind's like going a million miles an hour. I'm like, what do you mean lesions? So I'm like, oh shit, this is a disease. Because he said it's a progressive disease. And I was like, oh, a disease? What? And I'm like, wait, first question, am I gonna die? I started freaking out. I was like, oh shit, like I said, I've never heard of this. And he's like, no. He's like, it's not deadly. He's like, or fatal, but it is progressive disease. It's meaning it's only gonna get worse with time. At that time, little did I know how worse it would have gone for me. So I'm just kind of like, don't cry. Okay, so, so now he just starts talking to me about how there's 3 stages with MS. Relapse, remitting, secondary progressive, and primary progressive. I fortunately am in the first stage, relapse remitting. So what that means is that your body, you have a flare-up. They're called flare-ups when you're immune. And once that happens, whatever damage is done, your body will pretty much go into okay, take for instance when I first was diagnosed. What happened was I was having optic neuritis, and my immune system was attacking my optic nerve. That's why I was having the pain, the double vision. It was messing with my vision. One of the main symptoms of freshly diagnosed, I guess you could say, is your vision, or the numbness, the tingling, all of that. Your body will experience this, and then you'll go into remission. So when you're healthy, you're perfectly fine, your immune system's not attacking your brain, whatever, then you're in remission. Like, so right now, you could say I'm in remission because I'm perfectly healthy, so to speak. Secondary progression is your times in between your flares and your remission is shorter. So you get more flare-ups with recovery time shorter. Primary progressive is pretty much your immune system is always attacking your central nervous system. And so my neurologist was like, well, you know, he started talking to me about treatment options, everything like that. But honestly, I can't even really begin to tell you like, I don't remember pretty much anything that happened after that. After he told me, you know, you have MS, it's a lifelong disease. It's never going to go away. So I just remember leaving his office and I was crying and I was like bawling my eyes out. Nothing like this has ever happened to me my whole, like, ever. I went from being a perfectly healthy child, young adult, to now having a chronic illness that's never going to go away. So I remember I told my boyfriend at the time, husband now, I was like, if you want to leave, dip out, because all these crazy things could happen. Like the neurologist was telling us, you know, you can go blind, you can become paralyzed, you can lose your sexual functions, your memory goes, you start to stutter, all these crazy things. Pretty much anything that your brain, your spine, your brainstem control can get messed with, can just pretty much go away, depending on where the lesions hit. So I told him, I was like, you can leave, like, I will not hold this against you, blah, blah. Obviously, he didn't leave. So the first medicine I was on was something called a Copaxone, and it's a shot where you have to give yourself every day. They had a nurse come out. My whole family was there, mom, dad, husband, or boyfriend at the time, my sister, and my best friend. And the nurse came out and she showed us how to pretty much get a syringe and you inject yourself in your arms. It has to be your arms, I still remember, your arms, then your lower back, and then your other arm, your thighs, and your stomach. Every day. Well, excuse me, hated needles. I have a pretty high pain tolerance, but it was, I think it was more so emotional. I think that I, just knowing that I have to inject myself every day for the rest of my life at that time with medicine to keep me healthy, and not even healthy, but just not be able to have a disability, so to speak. So my husband had to learn how to do it. He had to, inject me in the back of my arms because I obviously can't do it. I did my legs, and I remember I would get these huge bruises from it. So, okay, on that medicine, and all of a sudden I feel like a year later, I had another flare-up. And what happened then was I was at work again, and my whole left side just went numb. Like, I couldn't feel it. And I was like, what the heck? Like, it was super weak. I couldn't really, I could move it. It just felt really numb and weak. So, I was like, oh shit, I think I'm having a flare. I called one of my best friends, and I was like, love, I don't know what to do. And I was like, I'm freaking out because my husband was at work. He wasn't answering. So my best friend came, she picked me up, she took me to the hospital. And I remember getting there, and I just felt really like out of it, kind of just like in a daze. And so I get there, and they're like, they started me on steroids, did an MRI. Sure enough, I had 2 active lesions on the right side of my brain. So one thing about the brain is the right side of your brain controls the left side of your body. The left side of your brain controls, did I say that right? The left side of your brain controls the right side of your body. So the lesions were active on my right side, and that's why my left side wasn't being affected. My left side is my worst side. Most of my lesions are on the right side of my brain. And so I was in the hospital maybe for like 6 hours. Once the steroids fully took over, I started feeling better. I could actually like feel my arm, Okay, I'm like, well, it can't be that bad. Yeah, I go numb, and it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be great. I've always tried to keep a very positive attitude when it came to having this illness. Don't cry. I go back to see my neurologist because he's like, obviously the medication isn't working, you're starting to have more symptoms, and that was just like my main flare, but there was other little symptoms that would happen. Like I'd call it brain fog. Like I get so very, how do I say, confused, and like I can't really make a thought process, or there'll be things, someone will ask me a question and I will know what I want to say, but I can't get it out. I stutter sometimes more so than I ever did. I never used to stutter. Like I said, like right now I know what I want to say, but I can't fully say it. That's something that has been affected. My memory, horrible, 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 horrible. A funny fact of having MS, I mean, not funny per se, but I find it kind of funny. So my sister used to make fun of me, and she'd always be like, because people would tell me jokes, and it would take me hella long to like fully understand what the joke was. And so I'd be like the late laugher, like everybody like, ah, and I'd be like, what? And then it would click, and I'd be like, ah, I get it. And she'd always be like, field goal, like, whoo, went over your head, you know? But one thing with MS is there's a certain part of your brain, like I believe it's your frontal lobe, that if you have lesions there, that happens. Like you don't really understand jokes, you don't really get like sense of humor, different things like that, like your reaction is delayed. So that was one of the issues that I've had. So moving forward, neurologist called me back and he was like, okay, you know, I think we gotta switch medication. You know, this new drug had just came out and it was Tecfidera. And it was a pill. And I was like, oh, that's great. You know, he's like, it decreases your chances of getting flares by, I think it was like 45% or something. He's like, you know, I think this is gonna be really good for you. You know, so far you're doing great, but let's try to slow down the process even more, or the progression. All right, great. The only side effects of that affected me, which I hated, was I would get really red. Like my skin would just push, like freaking tomato red. And I would itch and I'd get super hot, like I would have hot flashes. And I remember at my old office where I used to work, the ladies would be like, how are you getting hot? I was like, I swear I feel your pain because it's like, I feel like I'm having a hot flash, like menopause, full blown, but it was just medication. So I was on that about, I wanna say 3-4 years. It was a while. Yeah. And finally I just, like I got tired one day. I was like, I'm done doing this. Like I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, I'm gonna go back to, because back when I was first diagnosed, there's all these special diets and things you shouldn't eat, things you should eat. I am a very big, like, I don't know how do you say it, like I'm a stickler for what I eat, what my kids eat. You know, a lot of people make fun of me about it because I'm super, super strict when it comes to that. Organic food, it's all I eat. Like, that you go through my fridge, everything in there is 98% organic. A lot of it has to do with all the research I've done in trying to figure out how I could slow the progression, how I can even try and maybe shrink my lesions or try and cure myself. You know, I'm a firm believer of that. And so going back to when I was first diagnosed, I was gluten-free because they say that gluten can increase inflammation. I was on the Mediterranean diet, lots of, you know, vegetables and everything like that. Just kind of really strict on what I ate. Another thing that they find too, not really what causes, but plays a big role in MS is your vitamin D. So if you are low in vitamin D, your chances of developing MS or pretty much any, I think, autoimmune disease, don't quote me on that, but I know for a fact with MS, if you're low on vitamin D, you need to either take supplements or go out and get some sun or something. But I know, like my daughters, I have them get checked for their vitamin D level, just because I feel that since that plays such a huge part and role in having MS, then I want to prevent it all aspects. Okay, so now I'm on Tecfidera. I don't like it. This is like 2 years afterwards of taking it. I'm over it. Don't want to do it anymore. I hate feeling itchy. I hate getting red. I hate just the way it makes me feel. I don't like it. So I stopped taking it. I was like, that's it. I'm not gonna take it. I'm done. Like done. I had to take it every day. I was like, I'm not gonna take it anymore. I'm just gonna go back to eating really healthy. I'm gonna change my diet. You know, start hitting the gym super hard. Like just go ham. I don't know if that was one of the worst decisions I could have ever done, or I don't know. I don't know. I do know that it did play a huge part onto where I am today. So I remember one day I wake up and I was getting my kids ready for school. I was making their lunch, and I remember I couldn't find one of my earrings. And I was like, what the heck? Couldn't find it. Okay. got my kids. I couldn't remember where I had put my little one, where her lunch bag was, and I was like freaking out. I was running late. Luckily at that time, my sister was a teacher at their school, and I called her and I'm like, hey, can you, or I text her, I think, and I was like, can you make Lexi a lunch? Because I can't find where I put her lunch. I had just made her lunch, couldn't find it. So I take my kids to school, I go straight to work. By the time I get to work, I couldn't remember where my kids were. I know that sounds crazy, but I was like, wait, fuck, where are my kids? Did I drop them off at school? I think I did. And I was like freaking out a little bit, and I texted my sister and I was like, hey, because I saw the other text about the lunch, and I was like, hey, how are the girls? She texted me and she's like, oh, they're good. I was like, okay. And I remember I told one of my coworkers, I was like, I think there's something wrong. I was like, oh, no, because I walked by her desk and she's like, oh, where's your other earring? And I was like, what? And she's like, you only have one earring on, where's your other one? And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. Like, I completely slipped my mind. And then I told her, I was like, I think there's something wrong. I said, I don't remember. I kind of got confused. I couldn't remember if I had dropped my kids off at school or not. And now you're telling me about this earring. She's like, ooh, that doesn't sound good. She's like, do you think it could be, in your MS? And I was like, no, I don't think so. Like, I mean, I feel okay besides that little, like, maybe I just got brain fog. So then I go back to my desk, working, whatever, and I just kind of remember feeling very, like, confused and not really, like, focusing. And I was like, what the heck? So then I started, like, kind of panicking. And then, because I feel a little off. Yeah, no worries. I was like, but if it's nothing, I'm gonna come right back. Like, that's one thing too. Like, when I was working, I hated when I felt like my disease would get in the way of my normal life. It was the worst. Like, I'm such a very strong-minded person. I'm not gonna let this affect my lifestyle, pretty much. So, I go to the hospital. By the time I get to the hospital, they ask me, like, oh, what do you need to be seen for? Because I have to go straight to the ER. I have to get steroid injections if it is a flare. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm sorry, what? I was like, I don't know. I just said, I don't know. And they're like, what do you mean you don't know? I was like, I don't know. I think I'm having a flare. And they're like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I literally could not think. Like, it just, my mind went blank. So they ran some tests. They did some blood work. And I'm just now, like, sitting in the chair and I'm kind of, like, slumped over. Like, I just hell out of it. And I'm like, what the heck? So the nurse comes back and she's like, how are you feeling? And I was like, I don't know. Like, not good. Just not feeling good. And she's like, well, I don't think you're having a flare-up. And this is here in Sacramento. This was at Methodist Hospital. Fucking hated them. And I was like, okay. And at this time, I was kind of in transition. One of my dad's friend's wife has MS. And she recommended her neurologist at Stanford in Palo Alto. And so my dad was like, oh, Stanford's one of the best hospitals, blah, blah, blah. You gotta get down to Stanford. So I was kind of in transition. I had seen a neurologist over at Stanford, Dr. Dunn. He's amazing. He's like one of the top neuro doctors there. And he was like, yeah, like, reviewed all my scans, everything like that. So I was kind of in transition. I was still seeing a neurologist here in Sac, but I also have my neurologist over there in Stanford. So, sorry, I had to see if it was recording. So I call my husband and I'm like, babe, I don't know what's going on. I was like, I don't feel good. Like, they're telling me I'm not having a flare-up. I said, but I don't feel good. Like, I feel confused. I just don't feel right. He's like, all right, I'm gonna come get you. We're gonna go to Stanford. The time I got to Stanford, I was completely, like, blank, just out of it. Some of the tests that they ask you when you get to the ER for a flare is, can you raise your arms? So they make you raise your arms and they have to push on your arms. They push your arms down to see if, you can function. So he my arms and pushed them down and they just dropped. He asked me to stand up. I could not fully stand up. Like, I was, like, struggling to get up. Yep, you're not right. You're having some type of flare. They actually admitted me. My parents came down. Then they wheeled me in for an MRI, and they did a full MRI. My spine, my brain, and my brainstem. And sure enough, I had 2 active, again, on my right side, 2 active lesions on my right side. They were very much active. They were like active. I ended up being in the hospital for 3 days on steroids. Second day, I could not get out of bed. Like, could not feel my legs, could not walk, nothing. By day 3, I was actually feeling better because I had 3 doses of steroids. One thing I love about Stanford is that they have a whole team of doctors and nurses. I had like a team. I had like 2 doctors, 2 nurses, and because it's a teaching hospital and some students, they'd come in, check on me. They ran so many tests, so many tests, I remember. And they were like, we need to switch your medication because you now have lesions on your spine, you now have lesions on your brainstem. The ones that they're concerned about is my brainstem because that controls anything from here down. You can become paralyzed, you can become, you know, crippled, you can, everything, anything you could think of could happen. So it just wasn't working. And I remember one of the main things that I was scared about is developing PML. One of the risks with taking Tysabri is PML, which is a brain infection. And it starts with the JC virus, which I think it's like 98% of Americans have it. It lays dormant in your body, but if your immune system becomes compromised, that's when the JC virus acts up, and that's when it can break through your blood-brain barrier and attack your brain. Once that was to happen, there's nothing that doctors can do. It's fatal. That's it. You're dead. And the part that's crazy to me is that those symptoms of PML mimic symptoms of MS. So numbness, clumsiness, tingling, all those symptoms that are similar are also symptoms of PML. I stayed in the hospital for 3 days. Finally, they let me go, and I was supposed to start my new medicine, Tysabri. In 3 weeks, I was supposed to start Tysabri. And it's an every 28 days infusion. So I had to go down to Stanford and become infused. You know, you sit in a chair, they check your blood pressure, they take your temperature, ask you if I've had any falls, any new or worsening symptoms. Because if you're on Tysabri, you're not supposed to have any type of flare-ups. It's like the hardest, strongest drug out there right now, as opposed to Lemtrada. It's the best drug for my type of MS. So back up a little bit. Once I was released from the hospital, I was like, I need to go to a massage. You know, I don't feel good. I just want to like loosen up, relax a little bit. You know, it's been a hell of a ride. So I go to my appointment. It was great, amazing. I remember the therapist turned on the lights, and she's like, okay, do you want any coffee or water? I mean, any tea or water? And then I'll take some water. So I sat up, and I remember looking around, and I couldn't really see. It was just lights, and I was like, what the hell? So I rubbed my eyes, and I'm thinking, okay, I've been face down this whole time. Maybe it's just, I don't know, my vision's weird. I sit up, literally could not see anything. The only thing I could see are objects, like shapes and colors. That's it. I could not make out anything, unless it was literally right in front of my face. Couldn't see anything. And I remember being by myself, and I had to drive home. So I started freaking out. I called my doctor when I got home, and I was like, what the hell, what's happening? And they're like, well, that's probably, your lesion is still active, and it was a really bad flare-up. So I was blind, I like to say, for about almost a month. It was definitely 3 weeks, because I couldn't see, that's it. And I remember thinking I was so scared, because I was like, oh my God, what happens if this is permanent? I think of not being able to see my kids grow up. There's all kinds of crazy things, just being blind. I couldn't. I think that for me was the worst moment, the worst time with having MS was that time, just because it changed my life. It made me look at and see things in a whole different light, whole different perspective. Life is so short, it's just so short, and you don't know, in an instant your life can change. And not just me, anybody's life could just change. So that's pretty much where I am today now. After that episode, I've been on Tysabri since, and it's been 3 years. I have to go down every 28 days to get my medicine to Stanford. I sit in a chair for an hour, they infuse me, stick an IV in me, and the medicine flows. You can't have it 3 days before. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Your time frame is 3 days before or 3 days after. If you are too soon, you know, that's too much medicine in you. If you're 3 days after, or 4 or 5, 6, 7, then your body can develop antibodies against the medication, and then the medication won't work for you. So pretty much, it's been a roller coaster, you know. But I'm so blessed and so fortunate, and I really owe it all to my dad. Don't cry. Because he was very, growing up, he was very tough love, you know. You go after what you want, you're Victorial. That was his thing. You're Victorial. He takes so much pride in his name. You're Victorial. Victorials, they're not no sissies. They're not no punks. Like, we're not, no, like, we go out there, we get what we want, we make shit happen, pretty much. He's like, you're headstrong, you're a strong person, you fight for what you, at that time growing up, I didn't really like it, I guess you could say. I was very like, ugh, so fuck, he's always so tough. Like, it was, never settle was his thing. Don't ever settle. Keep pushing forward. Even if you reach what your goal, do more. It was always do more, never settle. You know, like I said, reach for the stars pretty much. And then reach for the planets. It was never, I don't want to say good enough, it was just never okay to settle. So I look at it now and I'm so thankful for that's how he raised me. So thankful. Because this isn't something that's easy to deal with. On a day-to-day basis, this is not easy. You know, my moods are all over the place some days. I get angry sometimes. It's like, you can't control your moods. There's some days where I'm just like, who am I right now? Like, calm the fuck down, girl, you're crazy. I drive my husband crazy, like, and there's just days where I have shitty days, you know? But like I was saying, back when I was first diagnosed, I told myself, I was like, okay, yes, you have this illness. Yes, it's never gonna go away. I've accepted it fully. I take it in stride, I guess. I allow myself one day, okay, you have one day to cry, be mad, be angry, you know, like, woe is me type of thing. Feel sorry for yourself, feel pathetic even if you have to. Like, don't get out of bed all day, just sit there and cry. Like I said, feel pathetic if you want, feel sorry for yourself, feel like, oh my God. But the next day, it's a whole new day. You wake up and you're the same tough ass bra bony. Like, yes, that's who I am. You're Victoria. You're not gonna settle. You're not gonna fucking give into it. Because you can't. You can't. I can't. The way I look at it is, I have all these lesions on my brain, my spine, and my brain stem, yet I'm still able to see, I'm still able to walk, I'm still able to make decisions, I can still go to the bathroom by myself, I can still pretty much function like a normal, healthy person. So I'm not gonna allow myself to feel anything but that. I'm not gonna allow myself to give into it. I'm not gonna sit there and, oh my God, you know, I'm gonna cry about what can happen or what's gonna happen. You know, I'm gonna wake up, am I gonna wake up tomorrow and be blind again? Am I gonna wake up tomorrow and not be able to walk? Who cares? I don't know. I could walk out tomorrow and or right now and walk outside and get hit by a car and die. Who knows? You don't know. And so my thing is, I don't know what's gonna happen. Nobody knows what's gonna happen. One person knows what's gonna happen is God. But I do feel that every day I am blessed, and I'm so thankful that I wake up and I'm okay. I'm thankful that I can be a mom to my girls. I'm thankful that I can own my own business. I'm thankful for my husband. I'm thankful that I can be a wife. I'm so thankful for that. A lot of things that people I feel take for granted, I'm extra thankful. And you know, not everybody has that type of drive, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. It's just, this is, like I said from the beginning, this is how I deal with it. This is how I choose to live my life with it. I think sometimes I over push myself because I don't want to feel any less because of having this disease. I don't want to feel any, like, because I have MS, I can't do this. I've never been that type. Tell me I can't do something and I'm going to do it 10 times better than I even imagined I could. That's just the type of person I am. And like I said, I owe a lot of it mainly to my dad. I hate crying because I'm one of those ugly criers. So, yeah. In a nutshell, can't even talk. A little bit of my story and MS, and with MS, and dealing with it. I'm thankful for my family and all the support they give me, and my husband, my kids. Stop it. Does it get hard? Yeah, sometimes it does. No, like, yeah, it does. Sometimes it does, but like I said, I can't sit here and cry about it every day. It's wasting my time. You're only given so much time on this earth. Yeah. I want to be the best as a mom. I want to be the best wife. I want to be the best at whatever I do. I feel like I gotta be the best at. Yeah, and I just feel that this disease picked the wrong person to like try and take over, because I'm not the one. I'm not the one. Sorry. Anyways, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it brought some type of something to you. Even if you just had questions about it, or if you know somebody that's suffering. Oh wait, before I end it, people ask me that a lot too, like, do you ever get embarrassed by it? No. Or you don't ever feel ashamed of talking about it? Fuck no. Why should I? It wasn't like I asked for this. It wasn't like it's embarrassing to me. Not at all. Like, I think the all living life, trying to grow and build my business, trying to be a great example for my kids, and that's what it is. I'm not gonna let it stop me. Never. That's not in me. That's not in my blood. That's not the type of where I come from. You know, that's not who I am. So you can try, but not gonna happen. Anyways, like I said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts, or anything like that. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Mwah.